Welcome to Conan Exiles. Today I'm building a cozy starter house for my new playthrough that I'm doing now that the enhanced update is out, which has definitely made this game look very beautiful, and I'm really excited to jump back in. Before we get started though, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, G-Portal. If you're looking to host a server to play Conan Exiles with your friends, or any game for that matter, then G-Portal is perfect for you. I've been hosting all of my community game servers with them for years now and absolutely love them. Their servers are super easy and simple to set up with many different options to fit your needs, and if you ever run into any issues, then you can reach out to their amazing support team. So if you're interested, then click the link in the description to save 10% on hosting, and a big thanks to G-Portal. Now back to the video. Alright, starting with the location for this build, I'm building in map square E5, which has amazing access to many resources such as wood, iron, aloe, and many more to get you started. And here is a list of all of the materials you will need to complete this build for anyone interested. And you will also need the Isles of Sipta DLC if you want to use the exact wood pieces in this build, but you can easily substitute for something else if you don't have it. So with that, sit back, get cozy, and let's get started. So I'm going to start with the foundation here on this little hill above the water. I think this is kind of a nice place. We have the road here behind us, little path down to the beach, and I think this will be a nice location for the build. So I've started by placing a sandstone foundation piece, kind of like one foundation back from this little like cliff edge here, and I'm going to place two of those just like so. And then we are going to the triangle wedge pieces here with the sandstone. And I'm going to continue those around in a little hexagon there. And then going back to our sandstone foundations, I'm going to continue this out by two foundation pieces on every edge of that hexagon. And then we're going to take our wedge pieces again and fill in between all of these little gaps here to create a rounded foundation for the center room of the build. There we go, something just like that. And then you will go to the foundation pieces again, and we're going to continue them on either side here, basically by four foundation pieces. And now going to the flotsam pieces, this is where you'll need the Isles of Sipta DLC. We're going to take the flotsam ceiling pieces and put two of them on either side like that, and then take the flotsam wedge pieces and fill in the rest of it, creating a wraparound deck on the build, something like that. And then taking the flotsam corner pillars, we are going to continue these all the way down into the ground on every spot where the build pieces merge, just like that. Creating some pillars down from our deck. And if you're wondering where to get these recipes, obviously I'm in the admin mode just to make this tutorial easy to follow along with, but you will need to go to the knowledge tree here, and this is where you can search and unlock all of the build pieces that you need, and you can do these pieces very early in the game. They are the first pieces you end up unlocking. So now that we're done with this, I'm going to go back to my sandstone and go to my door frame. We're going to place one here. I'm going to place two of them on this side, and then two of them on this side, and one of them on the very back side there. Then we're going to go to the window frames, and we're using the outer face on the outside. I'm going to place those like that, and then go to the solid wall. Place the solid wall on either side like so. And then a door frame on either side here, and then a window on the very outsides. And we're going to do something similar to this side, so a window on that side, a window there, and then this one is going to have a solid wall, as well as a solid wall over here. And then this whole side here, I think I will have a window in the middle, so I'll do something like this, and then do windows on either side of the door here, and then the rest will be just a solid wall. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. That looks pretty nice. And now we can start working on the roof. So I'm going to take my thatch sloped roof here, and on every one of these wall pieces, not these larger middle ones, but the side ones here, I'm going to go up with the thatch roof, and then also go up on both the edges here. If I can get it to line up here. Sometimes the snapping in this game's a little bit finicky, but you can usually get it. Here we go. And then same thing on this side. There we go. And then I'm going to take my sloping sandstone wall, and then making sure it's the outer face, and take the other one, and we're going to fill in the end gaps of this roof piece. So outer face there, take the opposite one and put it like that. And then I'm going to take my wedge sloped roof, and we're going to put 2 of these in here, just like so. All right, there and there. And then I'm going to take my triangle sandstone pieces and put one on each side. And then taking the sandstone ceiling, I'm going to fill in just like that. And then taking the wedge pieces again, fill in one there and one here, as well as this entire center section here, because we're going to have 2 stories for this build. And then I'm going to take my inverted thatch wedge here, and then we're going to put this to fill in the round roof. So my goal for this build is to kind of teach you guys how you can use these different roof pieces and wall pieces to create something special in this game, because it definitely has a different build system than some of the other games I've done on the channel. And I want you guys to sort of get a feel for how you can create rounded structures and use the triangle pieces. I think learning some of these skills will make you a better builder in the future of this game. So I kind of wanted to do that for this starter house design. So now we're going to go back to the flotsam pieces and get the flotsam fence pieces. And I'll just continue those around the entire outside of the deck here. Something like that. There we go. And then the flotsam doors, I'm going to put these on all of the edge pieces. We'll put 2 of them in here. Sometimes I kind of like having the 2 doors here. Just kind of makes it even. And sometimes if you have the NPCs or thralls at your base, you have more than 1 door, so they're not really blocking the entries. And now on the top, we are going to go back to sandstone, get the windows here, and do 1, 2, and 3. And then go back to the walls and put 2 of them on the sides. Back to the door frames and put some little door frames right here. We're gonna have like mini decks over here. I thought that could be kind of interesting to do. So I'm just gonna have like a tiny little balcony that you can look out over on both ends if you need to see something that's coming from the distance. So there we go. Then I'm gonna go back to my roofs, and we're going to put one of these ones here, here, and here. And then back to the triangle roof pieces and put some of them all the way around. We're kind of doing the front half of the build, and then we're going to move on to the back half, because this is going to be a little bit different than the front half that we just did, because we're going to have a staircase that goes up to get to this second level here. So now that we have that, I'm going to take my wedge pieces from the sandstone again and continue them around. And now going back to our thatch roofs, I'm going to fill in on this side. So both of those, and then the inverted triangular ones, we're going to fill in both of those. Then I'm going to go to the wedge floor pieces again, put 2 more on the sides, and then 2 more of the normal floor pieces in between, and 1 of the little wedges like that, so we can complete that circle. And then take our thatch roofs, and now they should be able to snap in here if we line it all up right. Sometimes being at a lower angle helps. There we go. All right, something like that. And then we will take our triangular ones And these ones will snap like that and like that. And now rather than completing the roof around the middle, this is where this side is going to get a little bit different. We are going to take our walls and put 3 of them around, along with some windows along the top of them. And then I'm going to put some windows like this and like this. And then we're going to take our inverted triangle wall here. And on each side for the outer face, I'm going to take the other one for this side. And we're going to snap them like that. And then taking our solid walls, I'm going to snap one there and one right here. So this is creating a little bump out where we are going to have our staircase. So inside here, I can take the triangle pieces, snap one here and one like that, and then go back to the flotsam stairs. You could also use the sandstone stairs for this if you would like, but I kind of like the wooden stairs here. So we're going to snap it inside here. Sometimes you'll have to be kind of in a lower position to get the stairs to snap. There we go. And then taking the triangular floor, we'll put one there, and then go down on this lower level, and then take our stairs again and complete them. So there you have it. We have some stairs to the upper level, and then I can take my flotsam corner pillars, and we could make like a nice little pillar support for the stairs. So we've got our back door there, and then you can climb up the stairs and get to the second floor. And then we can just take our flotsam fence pieces and put a couple of them there to create ourselves a little stair railing. And now to complete the roof up here, we can go back to the sandstone and the thatch roofs and finish these guys around. So we'll put one there and there. And then same thing for this section here. This back section is going to have a bunch of triangular pieces because it's a smaller circle. So we'll have 2 on those sides, one there, and then one there. And then one of these ones like so. And then we're going to use a ceiling piece there. And then an inverted triangle piece right here. And right here. Now you could just leave the roof like this, which honestly looks pretty clean. You've got this flat top section to it, which maybe you could do some cool looking tower that goes up from there, or I don't know. You could do whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and cap this off in a way that I think might look decent. So we'll continue with these triangular roof pieces all the way up here so that they all meet in a point. Again, sometimes it's a little hard to get them all snapping on the edge. There we go. And then one there. And then one on this back side as well. And this little section can just be the roof cap. So we've kind of got like a little yurt style hut. Got another little point right there, since you can't really merge these 2 roofs quite as well, unless you kind of continued this section up as a tower and then kind of merge this little roof into it. But that ends up working out pretty well. So that is the outer structure. And these little sections, I'm just going to leave open. I was debating doing some doors in them, and that would work, but I think just leaving them open will be nice. They're on the second floor, so that makes sense. And then I'm going to go back to my flotsam corner pillars here, and we're going to add a bit of trim to the build, add a bit of depth so that it looks nice. So I'm going to go and add one of these on every corner piece. Add one in there, not in the middle of this wall, just so that it doesn't look too distracting, but just one on each of the corners, something like that. And on this back side as well. We'll put some here and here, and then some on this side, if we can. Well, that one actually, that won't be able to snap down, so we'll just leave that back one as is. We could choose to put some on both sides of the very back door here, like that. And we could put some in here if we wanted to, like so, and then continue them down to the ground, or they'll kind of be floating unless you use some pillars and ceiling pieces, and then you can continue your walls down to the floor. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to include those pillars on the back side or not. We can also go ahead and fill this back one in with a door. I forgot to do that. And you're going to want doors here because this section does have some crocodiles over here, which is great because you get a good source of food and materials from them. But you will have to keep that in mind if you don't want the crocodiles, maybe build up a little bit further on the hillside there. And then another thing we need to do before moving on to the interior is to place a couple of stairs on either side to get up to the doors, as well as placing some lights. So we can go into decoration and lights, and I'm just going to use these very simple torches that are easy to get early game. We're going to put 2 on either side of the doors there, and then 1 on the side there next to that door. Same thing right over here. I can get it right in there. And then 1 in the middle of each of the ends. So I'll put 1 here, as well as right here. And then on this side as well, we'll put 1 there and 1 there. So this is nice. And it's a little overcast now, so you can see how the lighting looks there. I think that'll be good. So now it's time to move on to the interior. So because this is a starter house, I went with a very simple interior with things that you can craft pretty early on in the game. And if we enter here on either side of the entry, I have some wooden boxes for storage, and they also kind of look like little benches where you could sit and take your shoes off or something, but storage is always needed. And then I have a little torch there for some light. And then entering into the build itself, I really like the spaciousness of having the round building with the high ceilings here. And it fits this lesser wheel of pain in the middle pretty perfectly there, so that you can get some of your first thralls in the game. And this does not need to be indoors, by the way. You could have it outside if you need some more space in here later on. But I suppose if you are in a PvP setting, this could provide a little bit more protection. And either way, it fits nicely here with plenty of room to walk around, as well as placing all of the crafting stations along the outskirts. So I just have my charcoal kiln and furnace, as well as the blacksmith bench, the campfire, the artisan table, the armor bench, and the carpenter bench over here. Those are some of your big ones that you'll get early game. And then same thing on this side, we just have the wooden boxes on either side of the entry. We can go out onto the front deck here, which I think is very nice. We have the front door over here, or we could walk all the way around and go back in this side door. And then back here, we have our back door. That's the back of the build, which you guys have seen. And then going upstairs, I really like this little stair design on the back here. I just turned it into a very simple bedroom. So I've got 3 beds if you want to bring some of your friends along with you, a couple of personal chests over here, and then we can scroll into first person and go out onto these little balconies to check out stuff, look at the sunrise, the sunset, all of that good stuff. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a ton of fun building this, and it's really just a nice empty shell that you can decorate however you'd like to, but it should suit your needs as a nice little starter house. So again, big thanks to Gportal for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check them out through the link in the description if you'd like to save 10% on game server hosting. And with that, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Cheers.